In our number 10 spot, we have the black helicopters. Apparently outside of Area 51, people have spotted black helicopters fly in and out of the area. It is said that this is the home to the government's secret helicopters. Dating all the way back to the 1970s, people have reported seeing these black helicopters. There were rumors that they were to do with cattle mutilation, toxic chemical releases over neighborhoods. But most people seem to believe that those are just stories to cover up what they're really doing, flying the reptilian leaders in and out. Let's be real. In our number 9 spot, we have studying the spacecraft. There have been a few whistleblowers that have worked at Area 51, and these people have stated that the engineers that are working in the testing area are actually reverse engineering alien spaceships. We can assume they are doing this to figure out how the aliens made these shapes and how they fly so fast. Man, that's so trippy. As far back as the 1950s, people have reported seeing unidentified flying objects at the southern Nevada military base. One of the whistleblowers, named Bob Lazar, has spoken out about this, and apparently while working in Area 51, he saw flying saucers that were powered by an element called 115. And that was years before that element was recorded as found by humans. Imagine working on an alien spaceship and coming across a whole new metal that's not from this planet. And I'm sure they've discovered things that I wouldn't even be able to dream about in my wildest dreams. In our number 8 spot, we have aliens. Okay, so there is no photographic evidence for this claim, but there have been whistleblowers that have said this to be true. Honestly though, anyone else thinking what I'm thinking? Are the aliens being held hostage? Or are we being held hostage? Let's be real. Most likely they're controlling us, or the aliens are being held hostage by the reptile people that are already here and running mankind. That's it. I'm out. Apparently though, Bob Lazar has said that he walked down a hallway at S4 in Area 51 and he saw a small gray extraterrestrial between two men in lab coats through a small window. Apparently he was told by a guard to stop looking and, move along. There have been other sightings of gray creatures in other secret military bases, such as the one in Dulce, New Mexico in 1979 by a man by the name of Philip Schneider. So, I believe that Bob is telling the truth. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. In our number 7 spot, we have weather control. I've heard about this for quite some time, and I truly feel like if there's something that I could fully get on board with and believe right away, it's the idea that the government controls the weather. Hear me out. First off, being able to do that would be extremely valuable, and honestly, it could make you potentially threatening to your competitors. Don't mess with me, otherwise I will make sure it rains on your country for a full month and all of your crops will suffer. Watch, wars in the future will just be governments messing with each other's weather. That would be wild. If we can make objects fly, if we can send messages through empty space through a phenomena that we call the internet, we call Wi-Fi, we could definitely create a few clouds every now and then. We do have proof though that the government has done research projects to modify clouds in the past, but who knows if there was a conclusion to this experiment, let alone if this experiment took place in Area 51. In our number 6 spot, we have the CIA filings. Apparently, up until 2013, we had no idea that Area 51 even officially existed. In 2005, the National Security Archive at George Washington University filed a Freedom of Information Act about the U-2 spy plane program. And so, in 2013, the CIA was forced to declassify documents that related to Area 51. After this reveal, it became known that the military spent 20 years testing aerial surveillance programs called U-2 and Oxcart, and it also confirmed the existence of Area 51, which the locals would have been able to confirm regardless, but whatever. I could just imagine after the release of this information, all of the locals start connecting the dots about all the missing people in their area and blame it on the aliens. I would love to speak to some of the locals and see what they actually think and say. That would be fascinating. Anyways, they kept Area 51 a secret for so long that there must be a number of darker secrets within it that we don't know about. You can only assume. In our number 5 spot, we have the US military base. Author of Area 51, An Uncensored History of America's Top Secret Military Base by Annie Jacobson, has been quoted as saying that yes, Area 51 is filled with secrets, but these secrets are around creating weapon systems and surveillance platforms that no one can think of, for the US military. Hence the reason it needs to remain a secret so they can one-up their opponent. Annie has gone on to say that if everyone could think of what they were doing, then they wouldn't be doing their job correctly. Apparently, Area 51 is the birthplace of what is called ISR intelligence. Why on earth would they not understand most earthly aircraft at this point in time in the world? They are working on reverse engineering alien spacecraft. I believe it. In our number 4 spot, we have secret disappearances. In the area of Area 51, there have been a lot of reportings of disappearances. Some of young people and some are older. It has been reported that these disappearances are tied to Area 51, as some believe it's the aliens within the base that are taking these people. But most likely, the actual people of Area 51 are taking these people as test subjects, as there is no sign of them ever again after they disappear. That's what I think, at least. Where are they going to, and why is it so often within the vicinity of the base? Questions only the insiders would most likely know the answers to. In our number 3 spot, we have the Nevada Triangle phenomena. A lot of people are very well aware of the Nevada Triangle phenomena, and we're pretty positive that the people of Area 51 would know the dark secrets around it. From Las Vegas to Reno, Reno to Fresno, and Fresno to Las Vegas, there have been many reports of unusual goings-on. Similar to the famous Bermuda Triangle, people disappear forever. Planes go missing, aliens have been spotted, claims of magical rocks, and so much more. The area and all its mysteriousness continues to be a complete mystery. Within the area is the Sierra Mountains, and if you have seen the new Jurassic Park movie, that is where they keep the major dinosaurs. I bet you the dinosaurs are just a front for the truth. That is where they keep the aliens, obviously. Coming up at our number 2 spot, we have portals to a new dimension. Along with the home base for the reptilian race, people believe that Area 51 actually holds the portal to another dimension, which honestly isn't too far-fetched when you hear about the reportings of the people that have gone near the area in the Sierra Mountains and have disappeared, only to have been teleported to a new area. Yep, these are real reportings from seemingly coherent people. The people inside the Area 51 base would know about this, and if strange things like this are happening in this area, then I bet you that it is not a coincidence that there's a secret government base right smack in the middle of it. Coincidence? I think not, sir. In our number 1 spot today, we have time travel. Along with the portal to another dimension theory, there is also a theory that the people of Area 51 are hiding a time travel machine. That's right. We know that scientists in testing facilities around the world have been playing with speeds that are too fast to imagine. So it is possible that something has been invented to travel time. A lot of people say, yes, this is probably possible, especially with the rise of people claiming that they have time traveled from the future. However, some of their claims have been inaccurate, such as, Donald Trump being the last US president, or that World War III would be in 2015. In any case, if there is a time travel machine, then Area 51 employees would possibly know about it. At least the higher-ups would, even if the employees didn't know what they were working on.
Starting our list off at number 10, Dark History. This secret base in the Nevada desert acts as the US military hub for spatial engineering, and, possibly, hopefully, some reverse engineering for some alien crafts. The area is named after the geological grid of the desert. The area gained notoriety, of course, in the early 90s, with numerous claims that workers had worked on alien aircraft and even heard of harboring alien creatures underground. The entire premises is fenced off with signs saying no photography allowed, and also use of deadly force is authorized. So whatever they're hiding here, it's mostly military, hopefully with a little splash of ET. The base has been a testing facility for the Air Force and remains one of the most highly secured and secretive bases in America. Number 9. Tickaboo Peak. Say you're watching this video and you want something, right? What's the closest you can legally get to Area 51, right? What's the only way you can possibly see footage of a little alien ship coming and or going. Well, you gotta go to Tikaboo Peak, that's how. Located right in the middle of the Nevada desert, Area 51, of course, is hard to see. This peak could help that problem. Bob Lazar, back in 1989, he spoke out to news outlets explaining how he used to work in Area 51, specifically on UFOs using anti-gravity technology. With this peak being just 26 miles away from the top secret base, you might just see a test flight or two from the bushes. Just like Bob did, right? Number 8. They can't stop all of us. Back in the 1950s, the public wanted answers as well. It was June 17th, 1959. The Reno Evening Gazette published a story with the headline reading, "More flying objects seen in Clark sky." More? What'd I miss? More flying objects? Then the paper even went on to describe how Sergeant Wayne Anderson, a local sheriff, was one of many locals that spotted what the paper described as an object bright green in color and descending towards the earth at a speed too great to be an airplane. Yeah, like a meteor, I guess. I don't know, that's terrifying. What could they possibly be talking about? Number 7, the Gorman dogfight. This one is a classic. A lot of people believe this encounter. This encounter lasted a whopping 27 minutes in the air. A dogfight happened between a veteran World War II fighter pilot named George F. Gorman and a UFO. It was him versus a white orb, and they were both at an extremely high altitude above Fargo, North Dakota. Gorman told a local newspaper following the 1948 event, the experienced pilot said, and I quote, "If anyone else had reported such a thing, I would have thought they were crazy." Captain Ruppelt operated Project Blue Book, a series of studies conducted by the US Air Force between 1947 and 1969, and there's reports of the same dogfight from the ground as well. So yes, there are multiple eyewitnesses for this one. Number 6, Project Aquatone. So we think about aircraft evolution over the last, say, 100 years. Well, back in 1955, Area 51 was selected by the CIA as a testing site for the Lockheed U-2. And if you've seen Top Gun Maverick lately, good on you, great film, 10 out of 10. But if you've seen it, this will tickle your fancy. The Lockheed U-2 was this high altitude aircraft. It was the top of the line technology, and tests were originally conducted over the codename Project Aquatone. Now on June 25th, 2013, the CIA approved the release of declassified documents that details, for the first time officially, the history of the U-2 and Oxcart programs in response to a Freedom of Information Act request, just like we're seeing right now with these, UFO videos online. The release of those documents marked the first time that the US government actually acknowledged the existence of Area 51. And since then, we've been waiting around for another big announcement or something. Number 5, Virginia sighting. We have to look at some sightings to know what goes on in Area 51, right? If it's spacecrafts or whatever, we've got to look elsewhere for clues. 2 UFO sightings were reported to the National UFO Reporting Center in Virginia on April 4th, 2019, quite recent. At 6:48 a.m., an eyewitness claimed to have seen a light blue circular craft darting across the sky in Virginia Beach headed east. So already you're pumped, right? You're jazzed. Aliens confirmed, right? Then 7 minutes later, an eyewitness at the Norfolk Naval Station, 23 miles northwest, claimed to see what resembled a shooting star with a green glow that never faded. This object also moved without noise and disappeared just like that in 10 seconds. There were 2,348 UFO sightings reported throughout the state between 2001 and 2015. Number 4, Travis Walton, 1975. This horrifying abduction of a local Arizona forester, Travis Walton, take it with a grain of salt. On November 5th, 1975, Walton and a number of others from the logging crew, they were working with timber in the National Forest, and then while riding in a truck with 6 other of his co-workers, they allegedly encountered a flying saucer or a saucer-shaped object hovering about 100 feet away in the forest. It was also making a high-pitched buzz, so it was very, something was going on. Walton exited the truck and ran over curious, and then a beam of light appeared from the craft and blasted him unconscious. The other 6 men were terrified and they drove away before returning moments later in panic to a now vanished Travis. Walton claims that he woke up in a hospital room observed by 3 short, bald creatures, aliens. He fought with them until a more human-looking figure led them to another room where he then blacked out again. Walton claimed he remembers nothing else till he found himself awake yet again alongside a highway 5 days later, naked, clueless of what had just happened. Number 3, Rendlesham Forest, 1980. It was Boxing Day 1980. The forest lies between the military bases of Bentwaters and Woodbridge. Now at 3 a.m., 2 military personnel, John Burroughs and Jim Peniston, they both respond to bright lights in the forest. The radios also stopped working, which is not helpful at all in this case. There was a static feeling in the air as well, and an odd silence. Now the closer the men got, the more they realized it wasn't one of theirs. Peniston was drawn in and he actually touched the craft. It instantly electrocuted him and apparently downloaded him with odd symbols and star maps into his brain before the craft craft eventually blasted off again. 24 hours later, the craft returned, and Deputy Commander Charles Halt is now witness in the exact same spot. Only this time, there are now 3 large landing holes in the grass. Years later, Burroughs and Peniston still ask each other and the British government for their medical records from that night because they never received them. Almost 32 years later, and still, they've never received anything. Number 2. O'Hare Airport. The O'Hare Airport incident happened at approximately 4:15 p.m. in broad daylight on November 7, 2006. The airport received this report that a group of 12 airport employees were all witnessing the same thing. They were all witnessing a metallic saucer-shaped craft hovering still over gate C-17. It was just waiting there for something. The object was spotted by a ramp employee at first, and then it was witnessed by pilots, and then airline management, and then numerous mechanics simultaneously. Air traffic controllers didn't even see the object on radar either. That's the scary part. But in person, sat a completely silent, 7-meter wide, dark gray saucer. Several witnesses outside of the airport also saw the object, calling local police and reporting it, of course, because they were terrified. Numerous phone-ins described a disc or a craft hovering above the airport as well for minutes without moving. So everybody saw this, not just airport officials. According to another witness, the object then shot straight up through the clouds at a high speed, leaving just a clear blue hole in the clouds. Number 1. Zimbabwe sighting. In 1996, a mass sighting was witnessed by an entire school in broad daylight in Zimbabwe. Yeah, more than 150 students and staff were all present at this point. There have been tons of documentaries surrounding this exact case. Face-to-face, arm's length with a craft, and also alien beings. Yeah, this is a whole cosmic visit apparently. The children, who are now mostly in their 30s and or 40s, are still convinced. They still stand by what they saw. More than 100 students can still remember what they claim to be telepathic warning from the creatures surrounding our use of technology and the hazards that it has on our planet. So that's cool. Director and writer James Fox documents this infamous interaction in his 2020 documentary, The Phenomenon. Area 51 could be housing UAPs or parts left over from interactions like this one in Zimbabwe back in 1996. Who knows?
Starting us off at our top 10 spot is hazardous working conditions. Back in the 1990s, a lawyer from George Washington University named Jonathan Turley was contacted by a group of people who claimed to work at Area 51. They were in need of Turley's lawyer skills because they believed they were exposed to hazardous materials while working in the top secret base. In an article in the Los Angeles Times, Turley said that the workers described how the government had placed discarded equipment and hazardous waste in open trenches the length of football fields, then doused them with jet fuel and set them on fire. The highly toxic smoke blowing through the desert base was known as London fog by workers. Many came down with classic skin and respiratory illnesses associated with exposure to burning hazardous waste. A chief aim of the lawsuits was to discover exactly what the workers had been exposed to so that they could get appropriate medical care. Apparently, Turley proved that the government had acted in violation of federal law, but the government, of course, refused to declassify any information about what they were burning in these trenches, which is and was horrible because without knowing what exact substance gave all these workers their reactions, it made the doctors' jobs just that much harder in knowing how to treat the workers' illnesses. The burning at Area 51 was most likely a federal crime, but once again these guys got off scot-free because they could hide behind more and more secrecy. As Dana Carvey's church lady would say, well, isn't that special? At number 9, we have a plane pool. Not an airplane swimming pool, but you know how some people carpool to work? Well, it is believed that some of the workers at Area 51 actually plane pool to work. According to the source USA Today, Area 51 employees board an unmarked craft at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas and are then flown to an undisclosed location, aka Area 51. What is known though is they fly somewhere with the airline known as Janet, which some believe stands for just another non-existent terminal. Very clever. The unmarked craft is reportedly a Boeing 737-600s and its official destination is unknown. But back in 2018, Janet was reportedly hiring a new flight attendant. The job posting wrote that applicants must be level-headed and clear thinking while handling unusual incidences and situations. But that's it. That sounds really fishy and kind of intimidating, but if any of you are watching our flight attendants, please go get a job at Janet and then please hit me up. At number 8, we have a mailbox. Okay, so this one isn't exactly inside Area 51, but it's close enough. About 12 miles away from Area 51 is a pair of black mailboxes. According to Bob Lazar, a man who recently made claims he worked at Area 51, but with no real proof, he says that if you want to see some crazy scheduled UFO flight tests, one of the best places to watch them is from these set of mailboxes. Originally it was just a single black mailbox owned by a man named Steve Medlin, but many tourists and alien fans all around the world would come and tamper with his mail as well as destroy the mailbox. I'm guessing to see if any of the mail going to this supposed real person named Steve was actually real or top secret alien info. So actual non-alien, Earth-born Steve Medlin put up another mailbox beside it with the name Alien on it, so anyone hoping to send messages to aliens or get a reply can do their business, all the while Steve can get his bills and birthday cards without any trouble. Poor Steve. At number 7, we have a possible film set? That's right, one of the many conspiracy theories surrounding Area 51 is the theory that the original moon landing footage never actually took place on the moon. Many believe it was actually taken at Area 51, with brainwashed astronauts who then returned to normal society, believing that they flew all the way to the moon and landed placing the American flag into the gray, dusty cheese surface. One of those believers being Bill Kaysing, author of We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion swindle. Oof. Lengthy and original title. He not only believes this theory, but he also believes that NASA used lunar meteorites found in Antarctica as stand-ins for moon rocks. Yeah, I don't know about this one, guys, because I think it's pretty obvious that we did go to the moon, and in the off chance we didn't back in 1969, we definitely have now, okay? At number 6, buckle up and let's go off-roading because we have white trucks. That's right, you remember those crazy intimidating camo dudes I talked about in the first video? Well, for years and years they have been seen roaming in and around the base in white unmarked vehicles. They have been seen in white Jeep Cherokees, Chevrolet Silverados, Ford F-150s, but since 2011 have mostly been driving around in the crazy fun Ford Raptor, which makes total sense. The Ford Raptor is meant for driving on off-road terrain. Well, this is a pretty get up and go kind of truck. It's perfect for Area 51 camo dudes as the land is mostly flat, dirt terrain that if they need to speed off to scare away any trespassers or aliens, they can just hop in their Ford Raptor and give her. As we say here in Canada, they can take her for a rip. I think Ford needs to get on that ad right away. The Ford Raptor, taking Area 51 camo dudes for a rip since 2011. Coming in at number 5 at our halfway point, we have a giant robot. Well, says this one guy. A man named Scott of UFOs Daily has a video online where he inspects Area 51 using Google Earth. He goes in for an extreme close-up of an area of land that is filled with random unidentifiable things on the ground and claims it to be new technology, whatever the hell that means. He zooms in even more and finds what seems to be a giant human-shaped silhouette on the ground. He claims it to be a giant robot. I honestly cannot take this one seriously, guys, because it is such a huge assumption, and sure, whatever lying on the ground does indeed have the shape of a human body, but come on, a giant robot? Maybe it's just like a giant men's washroom sign for overhead pilots or aliens, or even just a clutter of random crap made into a human shape to troll some alien believer into thinking it's something more than what it is. Yeah, I think it worked. Either way, there is or was a pile of something in the shape of a human at Area 51. That is confirmed, but I don't think it's no longer there because I did just check Google Earth before doing this video and I don't see nothing, so whatever. At number 4, we have big mouths. Many former employees at Area 51 are now starting to go against their promise of swearing to absolute secrecy. Everyone, I'm sure, is well aware of Bob Lazar. If you're not, then an easy Google search and watch of a documentary on Netflix will surely bring you up to speed. Go do that right now. Hey, you back? Good. But other than Lazar, other supposed former employees of the top secret bases are opening up their big mouths and giving away top secret information. One of them being supposed Area 51 veteran James Nose. Nose recalls handling multiple mishaps that were accidentally exposed to the public, such as a crash of a top secret craft that was witnessed by a police officer and a family on vacation. The family apparently took photos and Mr. Nose was in charge of confiscating the photos and telling the family to shut up or else. Nose later said that there was no official documentation stating that he worked at the top secret base and that his salary was paid in cash. An under-the-table government paying job? Say what? He also said he never saw any alien activity at the site. At the site. Yeah. Okay, whatever you say, Jimbo. At number 3, we have underground operations. That's right, if you look at Area 51 on Google Earth, like I did, or from above, you may wonder where on earth do they hide all of the top secret alien tech and new and never used military equipment? Answer? Probably underground. I'm sure many of us have seen Independence Day and other alien invasion movies, but just like many movies in pop culture, many suspect that most of the testing and actual tech is indeed stored beneath the ground. The deeper you go, the more top secret the project and tech is. One of the conspiracists named John Lear, heir to the Learjet fortune, spun bizarre stories that aliens were being kept underground in camps and being fed mutilated cattle and smaller humans. Gross! There's also no exact proof of any of this, but honestly, Area 51 spans over a huge amount of desert, and I think if they ever wanted to start a huge underground alien colony, It'd be pretty easy. Coming in at number 2, we have Tic-Tacs. No, not the little candies that sometimes freshen your breath unless they're just the tasty orange ones. I'm talking about alien crafts that are in the shape of Tic-Tacs. In a podcast episode on the Joe Rogan Experience with alien lover Jeremy Corbell and supposed former Area 51 employee Bob Lazar, Lazar opened up about the recent Tic-Tac footage that leaked from the 2004 footage and stated that this specific craft actually looked and operated similarly to the craft that he spotted while working at Area 51. Many believe Lazar's story, but with more and more slight details no longer matching up, some would say his story is losing its validity. But one thing is for certain, there are Tic-Tac shaped UFOs out there, and if we do indeed have any of those craft in our possession on Earth, I bet you it's at Area 51. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot, and definitely the weirdest one of them all, we have alien architects. Our good friend John Lear, along with his theory that aliens are being hidden and fed underground at Area 51, also quite strongly believes that not only are aliens being housed and fed at the top secret base, they're also helping build the top secret base. To be quite specific, he believes it's the aliens we know as the Greys that are helping assist in the building construction. If this is true, then I bet you the underground buildings and structures are quite advanced. I think we should bring the Greys above ground and let me hire them to do some of the renovations on my apartment, because it could use an upgrade. Because the alien god only knows that I can't do it by myself. While this one is yet again another assumption, it is pretty cool. This isn't the first time I've heard something like this. A few years back, I stumbled into a dinner party where a former government worker divulged his knowledge on aliens, specifically the reptilians, and I learned there that they are the ones who made the iPhone. Pretty cool. And also reptilians are disguised as humans. They're usually white men with blonde, brunette, black, or orange hair. So that narrows it down.
Number 10. Nighttime operations. On November 15th, 2020, well-known YouTube videographers Tim and Tracy of the UFO Seekers channel took an interesting clip shot from outside the Restricted Nevada Test and Training Range, or the NTTR. The new video shows some common NTTR activity, including the camo dude, security personnel, the comings and goings of NTTR employee shuttles, and more interestingly, a lot of air activity over the region, especially at night. The video showed what is most likely a significant nighttime special operations tactical training exercise or capabilities tested at the Nevada Test and Training Range. Most interestingly, the scene appears to be lit by a series of LUU-19BB infrared air-dropped illumination flares for use with night vision devices. The video was 20 minutes long and shows a series of bright lights at low altitude as viewed through their infrared night vision video equipment. Visible in the video are a series of orbiting lights around the brighter descending lights. About specific tests and training activities inside the NTTR don't surface often. The US Air Force published an article on October 24, 2020, saying operations on the Nevada Test and Training Range are continuous. When one operation finishes, another is right behind it, ready to begin. The couple also caught a video of security vehicles and a large bus leaving the gated area distantly adjacent from where the action in their video took place. Now, it's impossible to tell what's actually going on exclusively from the video, but whatever it was big and it looked interesting.
Alright, so this next photo is of Jerry Freeman, taken on a forbidden trip back in 1997. And his head here is supposedly covering the area where the secret S4 hangars are, according to the legendary Bob Lazar. So, this guy had quite the adventure close to the forbidden military base, and according to him, he was actually within the restricted area at points, but the exact borders of Area 51 aren't really shared with the public. So, what's the story with this guy? Jerry Freeman, an archaeologist, decided in 1997 that he was going to embark on a 7-day trek into the highly restricted Nevada test site. The funny thing is about this case though, is that he really had no interest in what most of us would want to see behind the Area 51 curtain. He was just interested in tracing back the trail of the lost 49ers, pioneers who had traversed the area in 1849. He was in search of an inscription made by one of the pioneers, which was believed to be a Nye Canyon above Papose Lake on the Nellis Air Force Base, totally off limits. Freeman spent days avoiding security. He slept with nothing but a blanket and the clothes on his back. He traveled very light, too light. He was running out of water by the end. And the funny thing is that after this dangerous trek, people were asking him like, so did you see Area 51? What's in there? Where are the UFOs, man? And again, just had no interest in that side of it. So he was like, I think at one point I might have seen Area 51. He'd like climbed on a ridge above Nye Canyon looking down on Papose Dry Lake, which is just south of Area 51. And he was like, yeah, during the day I didn't see much, but one night I saw some lights. One looked like it was coming from a security vehicle. One was kind of stationary, but it seemed to grow and like shrink in size. Could have been a hangar door opening and closing. I don't know, it's an interesting kind of case.
Number 8. Codename Hood. A book by Los Angeles Times journalist Annie Jacobson, Area 51, An Uncensored History of America's Top Secret Military Base, Little Brown, tells the story of the famous site that has spurred tales and rumors of intrigue and cover-ups. Annie dove through thousands of recently declassified documents to reveal what happened in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s at the government-restricted area near Groom Lake, Nevada. In the book there were some photos, and for this one, Annie said, the black device attached to this balloon in Area 9 of the Nevada test site is a 74 kiloton atomic bomb codenamed Hood, the largest atmospheric nuclear weapon ever exploded in the United States. Standing on a ladder minutes before this photograph was taken on July 5th, 1957, Al O'Donnell put the final touches on the bomb firing system. Area 51 is over the hill to the right of the device, and on the next page and photo and row a column of radioactive smoke rises from the Hood bomb. To the right of the mushroom stem, the landscape can be seen on fire. Approximately 1 hour after the bomb went off, security guard Richard Migas drove through Ground Zero to set up a guard post at the Area 51 guard gate directly over the burning hills.
Next up, we have the Boyd Bushman photos. So Boyd Bushman is no longer with us, but he took with him to his grave many tales of the extraterrestrial friends he met as a Lockheed Martin engineer working within Area 51. At least that's what he claimed. In 2007, Bushman was filmed in a video talking with independent aerospace engineer Mark Q. Patterson about his experiences in the restricted area, claiming to have met several aliens, some of whom were hundreds of years old apparently and hailed from planet Quintumnia. Even said some of these Quintumians were employees of Area 51. Held up a bunch of photographs. The video became relatively big, but I gotta say, call me crazy, these pictures look not great. That alien looks like it's from Spirit Halloween. Nothing against Spirit Halloween. I go every Halloween, but not the most convincing. I think Boyd knew he was on the outs. He died not long after this interview, and I think he wanted to go with a little bit of a prank. Can't blame him. In fact, I respect him for it.
Number 6. Gabe Zeffman. Gabe Zeffman, a private pilot and amateur photographer, spent Christmas Day 2020 flying his Cessna 150 plane over Area 51 and snapping just over 1,000 photos. He captured stunning visuals of the Nevada Test and Training Range and Area 51, showing a mysterious triangle shape inside an open hangar. The hangar is just south of the main NTTR complex at Area 51, and the object looks large, although it is unclear. It does appear to be the only hangar that's open as well. In the videos of his flights posted on YouTube, Gabe can be heard getting clearance for his route over the restricted area. Now for this particular flight, he had higher quality photography gear that allowed him to capture better photos. So what's in the hangar? Seems like we may never know.
Number 5, the alien interview. So there's actually footage of this one, so yeah, not really photos, but I mean, isn't video better than a silly old still photograph anyway? This footage was shown in a 1997 documentary entitled Area 51, The Alien Interview. And the big selling point here was that you were gonna see real footage of Area 51 employees in the S4 facility communicating with an extraterrestrial on camera. The man behind the film, simply known as Victor, narrates through the footage, claiming to be former Area 51 employee and whistleblower who copied the footage, which was taken in 1989 before setting out to share it with the world. So you don't hear what was actually being said in the video. There's no sound other than the mysterious Victor relaying the information over the footage, but you do see what looks to be your classic gray alien moving around and opening and closing its mouth. I mean, if it was just a puppet, there was definitely some effort put in here, and by that I just mean they tried to make it look like it was moving.
Number 4. Closest photos of the base ever. In 2017, Tim and Tracy of the UFO Seekers, who was mentioned before, hiked up the 1.4 mile high Tikaboo Peak, a mountain 25 miles opposite the mysterious military base, in order to capture the closest ever pictures of Area 51. From the peak of this mountain, the duo of UFO hunters used a special telescopic lenses to get the clearest photographs of the buildings and vehicles inside the top secret government site. The Area 51 pictures taken show what looks like a water tower, several
complexes and vehicles moving around.
Next up, we have the UFO. In December of 2019, Nevada resident Steve Barron shared pictures and video of this mysterious object flying over a mountain range close to his home. So whatever the object is, looks big. It's far off in the distance, but it's very noticeable, very bright. Definitely doesn't look like the small specks you get in the sky with satellites. It's super bright again, and it moves in a strange pattern too. It doesn't move at one consistent speed or in one single direction. There's a point where it kind of looks like it could be a satellite. It's moving through the sky in more of a traditional pattern, just straight across. But then it stops, starts moving back in the direction it was coming from, and seems to clip along at a good speed too. Like whatever this thing is, it's fast. So I don't know. Could be a drone, I suppose, but you be the judge.
Number 2, the aircraft. A passing commercial satellite seemed to have snapped its top secret next generation combat aircraft on the tarmac of Area 51. Tyler Rogaway of the War Zone was reviewing Planet Labs satellite photos of the high profile secret site when he spotted something outside the ordinary. The highly classified United States Air Force Nevada testing facility is usually especially careful. Air operations are timed out during the gaps between Earth observation and surveillance satellite overpasses. But in this photo, on the taxiway leading through a massive new hangar was a strange shadow. It appears to be a translucent tent. Inside is the outline of what appears to be an unknown type of fighter aircraft. Area 51 is always a popular spot when it comes to publicly available satellite imagery, Tyler wrote. When glancing at daily 3-meter resolution images of the base, we noticed the appearance of a roughly delta-shaped blob on the north apron of the large southern hangar. It stayed there between January 26th and 29th, 2022. So what was it? Why did they make this mistake? I don't know.
Next up, we have the Area 51 entrance. So a few years back, satellite photos were shared online showing what looked to be a possible entrance to the ever-elusive wonder that is Area 51. Someone was cruising around on Google Earth and spotted a road leading to a parking lot by the foothills of a mountain. Now, whatever this road leading to this parking lot was actually built for, it wasn't there back in 1998, where satellite images of the same area showed there to be no road leading to this dead-end area with the parking lot. So what's going on? It is pretty strange. Why have all these roads been built leading to a parking lots in seemingly dead-end areas by the side of a mountain? There's nothing there. It's not like, you know, they'd park there and then walk all the way back down the road to go somewhere else. No, it seems as if there's a secret tunnel that's been carved into the side of the mountain. I think Bob Lazar said something about some mountain facility in Area 51. As for what's going on in there, your guess is as good as mine.
At number 10 is the propulsion system. It's been quite the astonishing turn of events when you consider Bob Lazar's claims about UFOs in Area 51. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with the story, Bob Lazar came forward with some rather extraordinary assertions back in the late 1980s, claiming that he worked at a secret facility near Area 51 called S4, where he was said to reverse engineer extraterrestrial spacecraft. And one of his most intriguing claims was about the way these saucers operated. Fast forward to today, and we've got this remarkable video footage from Commander David Fravor released by the Pentagon, showcasing a UFO doing exactly what Bob Lazar described decades ago, rotating at high speed with sharp angular turns, flying belly first. According to Bob Lazar, that's thanks to the gravity amplifiers along the underside of the ship that Bob had described centuries ago, as opposed to the classic rendition of a saucer flying parallel to the ground as we'd see in sci-fi. While Bob and the gimbal video both showed us that while it does have the capacity to fly like a frisbee, it can conjure what's essentially a powerful gravity vortex underneath the craft to pull it at extremely high velocity. Like, if you were inside one of these bad boys at speed, it would feel like you're falling downwards, nearing Mach something. It's one of those moments that makes you question just how much we might not know about the universe and what's happening in the shadows of government secrecy. The convergence of Lazar's claims and the actual evidence is undeniably mind-boggling. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to the most amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 9 is Element 115. The revelations about Element 115, which Lazar insisted was the key to alien propulsion technology, eventually found their place in the scientific lexicon. See, back in the late 1980s, Lazar made waves by asserting that Element 115, or what he called unpentium, was the fuel source for extraterrestrial UFOs he alleged to have worked on at Area 51. Skeptics scoffed as Element 115 wasn't officially recognized at this time, Fast forward to today, and we've synthesized element 115, now known as moscovium, in a lab setting. But here's the twist. Our most stable isotopes of moscovium have a fleeting existence lasting mere milliseconds. Yet Lazar continues to claim the existence of a stable isotope that powers these otherworldly craft. It's a tantalizing mystery that leaves us pondering the potential secrets lurking within the cosmos and deep within the confines of Area 51. And number 8 is the FBI raid. Back in 1989, during a live interview with George Knapp, Lazar made headlines by disclosing his work at the mysterious Area 51 Section S4, reverse engineering these extraterrestrial craft. He even claimed to have stolen a piece of element 115, which purportedly powered these spaceships. Now fast forward to 2019, when United Nuclear Scientific, Lazar's scientific supply company, was raided by the FBI. Conspiracy theorists believe that the feds sought his supposed element 115 samples. Now there are some government released documents that paint a different picture, but can we trust those? The raid, as it seems, was tied to an unaliving investigation involving thallium poisoning, a substance Lazar's company had sold. The FBI's alleged involvement dated back to early 2016, well before his documentary was being filmed. However, Lazar and the filmmaker Jeremy Corbell contend that the raid was a cover-up story to mask the real intent, which they insist was element 115. You see, Lazar was cooperating with law enforcement, providing documents and information on thallium sales, leading to search warrants being unexecuted. But just after they filmed this segment where he discussed his possession of 115 for the movie, they enacted a full search warrant on his house and job site. Coincidence? I think not. At number 7, bone density scanners. In a twist worthy of an X-Files episode, Bob Lazar's Area 51 claims seem to have gained some more unexpected validation. Lazar is a man whose assertions about reverse engineering the extraterrestrial spacecraft at the secretive facility have long raised eyebrows, but he's finally found support in the form of a revealing photograph. Thanks to filmmaker Jeremy Corbell's tenacity, Lazar's narrative has been bolstered with tangible evidence. The photograph hails from a classified US government program conducted at Nellis Air Force Range, located in close proximity to Area 51. What's remarkable here is how closely the depicted hand scanner aligns with Lazar's detailed descriptions. Lazar, taken aback by the confirmation, reflected, quote, "I had never thought I would see these again," end quote. It was a biometric scanner, he explained, designed to measure the length of hand bones to grant access to the secretive S4 area. Lazar's skeptics now may need to rethink their positions, as this unexpected piece of evidence casts a shadow of credibility over his extraordinary claims. At number 6, the UFO models. Bob Lazar's claims about Area 51 have continued to intrigue and mystify us over the years. His descriptions of inside of the UFO are particularly fascinating. He paints a picture of a spacecraft that defies our understanding of engineering. See, the absence of right angles and the fusion of materials hinted an otherworldly origin. What's striking is how his analogy to describe the material which is composed evolved with time, from his initial description as liquid titanium with everything fused together lacking rivets or seams, to a more contemporary comparison to 3D printing, the entire body being composed of one unit. It's like, picture a metal 3D printed bus versus an actual bus on the TTC rattling as it rolls because the thing is barely held together with screws. It raises the intriguing questions about advanced technology behind these craft and whether they indeed come from a civilization far beyond our own. Furthermore, Lazar's revelation that each of the 9 UFO at Area 51 had distinct designs is mind-boggling. They range from a jello mold-like structure to a completely flat disc, with diversity hinting at a level of technological sophistication beyond anything we can comprehend. And lastly, the notion that at least one of these UFOs may have ties to an archaeological dig amplifies an even deeper mystery. Could these craft have ancient origins, possibly predating recorded history? At number 5 is Zeta Reticuli. Bob Lazar's claims about Area 51 have fascinated UFO enthusiasts for years. One of his most intriguing assertions was that the flying saucer he worked on came from the Zeta Reticuli star system, specifically ZR3. This revelation is not just another conspiracy theory, with roots in UFO lore dating back to the 1960s. See, the Zeta Reticuli connection echoes through the story of Barney and Betty Hill, who famously claimed they were abducted by aliens in '61. During Betty's hypnosis after the event, she drew a star map depicting their alleged abductor's home. Astronomers analyzed this map for years and argued that it resembled the Zeta Reticuli star system. At number 4, Bob's predecessor. Lazar claimed that he replaced a colleague whose existence met a gruesome end during an incident shrouded in mystery. The circumstances surrounding the substitution remain murky, enveloped in a fog of classified information. Lazar hints at a desperate endeavor of science, an attempt to dissect an alien saucer's reactor structure while it was running, leading to a tragic fatality. The mere notion of using a plasma cutter on an active alien power source seems recklessly unscientific, inviting speculation about the nature of technology hidden within S4. At number 3, the military made him disappear. One of the most intriguing aspects of Bob's story is the mysterious absence of records supporting his educational and professional background. The absence of proof that he attended MIT or Caltech, coupled with his lack of employment records at Los Alamos National Lab, adds another layer to the enigma surrounding the story. The documentary suggests that these missing records might be a part of a deliberate government effort to discredit Lazar. By erasing his educational and employment history, authorities could cast doubt on his credibility, making it easier to dismiss his astonishing revelations about reverse-engineered extraterrestrial technology at Area 51. They somehow even managed to scrub any mention of his alleged thesis on magnetohydrodynamics. While the missing birth certificate may seem like another element of this conspiracy, it's essential to scrutinize the available evidence and weigh it against Lazar's claims and arrive at a balanced perspective on this perplexing Area 51 mystery. At number 2, the Tic-Tac. Remember the Tic-Tac encounter back in 2004? Black Aces Commander Dave Fravor thought it couldn't be any type of earthly origin, hinting at anti-gravity technology. Interestingly, when Lazar saw the footage, it matched his description of one of the 9 craft in the hangar at S4. Former Pentagon intelligence officer Lou Ezinaldo revealed the military secret study aimed to decipher the physics of these UFOs, suggesting that they rely on exotic metamaterials, echoing Lazar's claims. So what was once ridiculed as conspiracy is now a tantalizing mystery that even the Pentagon can't ignore. We're living in a world where truth is stranger than fiction. And at number 1, how did they even get here? If manipulating gravity with negative matter wasn't wacko enough, according to Bob, who allegedly got all evidence of his degrees scrubbed by the government, he delved into the idea of manipulating the permittivity and permeability of free space to tinker with the speed of light. Yeah, this might sound like science fiction, but it's not. See, recent developments in metamaterials and photonic engineering have shown that we can indeed manipulate these properties at certain frequencies. This revelation potentially opens doors to rethinking our understanding of relativity. Lazar's notion that relativity could emerge from the depths of quantum mechanics is a concept that tickles the mind of physicists. Could light itself be the architect of space-time bridges between distant points in the universe? It's a tantalizing thought. And while we're not zipping across the cosmos yet, Lazar's claims are no longer brushed aside as pure fantasy, leaving us to ponder the mysteries of what we thought possible. As we navigate the mysterious world of conspiracy theories and government secrecy, it's essential to approach such claims with a discerning eye and open mind. While elements of Bob's story have been validated, others remain shrouded in mystery, reminding us that the quest for truth is a complex and ongoing journey.
So we're going to start off with Storm Area 51 and the man who went missing during this storm. Not sure what to call this situation. Wasn't really an attack. I guess like a bombardment. Anyway, I remember being pretty entertained that a group of weirdos decided to band together to do this. Some were doing it ironically, some fully believed they were going to make history, and I'm willing to bet some people had no idea why they were there. Not a lot ended up happening though. This is a heavily guarded, top secret military base, so I think you'd be crazy to think they would have gotten very far. Though a few arrests were made, including a 60-year-old woman, but one man actually went missing. The man's name has never been released to the public, but he had last been seen near the entrance of Area 51. He didn't go missing for long though. He was found and faced a trespassing fine. A little anticlimactic, but unless it wasn't really him. And they simply replaced him with an identical clone. Oh yeah. We found Zach. He has to pay a little fine. Just make sure he doesn't do this again, alright? Meanwhile, the real Zach is trapped in a pod somewhere being experimented on in Area 51. You never know. Number 9, Kenny Veach. Kenny Veach, an experienced hiker and explorer, disappeared in 2014 while looking for a strange cave in the Nevada desert. He had posted a YouTube comment stating that he had come across a strange cave shaped like an M near Nellis Air Force Base and Area 51 that had caused his body to start vibrating. He was encouraged by some commenters to search for the cave again and to capture it on film, which he did, posting a video to his YouTube channel, Snakebite McGee, entitled M Cave Hike. A couple months later, he ventured out for a third time to the cave and sadly was never seen again. His cell phone was found at the entrance of an old mine shaft, but his body has never been found. Now, he very well could have got lost or had some sort of accident, but given how close the cave is to Area 51 and the claims Kenny made about the strange vibrations he felt around it, rumors and theories of course began spreading online that he may have stumbled upon something important, possibly related to extraterrestrials or government secrets, and that his quest was intentionally thwarted. Despite extensive searches, no concrete evidence or leads have been found regarding his whereabouts. Next on the list we have Jerry Freeman. Now, although this guy didn't go missing, he did trek quite close to the forbidden military base, and according to him, he was actually within the restricted area. Although the exact borders of Area 51 are sometimes a bit unclear, Jerry Freeman, an archaeologist, decided in 1997 that he was going to embark on this 7-day trek into the highly restricted Nevada test site. He wasn't going because he wanted to try and learn the secrets of Area 51. He was actually going in order to trace the trail of the lost 49ers, a group of pioneers who had traversed the area in 1849, many of which ended up losing their lives. He was in search of an inscription made by one of the pioneers, which was believed to be in NYE Canyon on the Nellis Air Force Base, which is of course completely off limits. Freeman had quite the adventure. He spent his time avoiding security, sleeping with nothing but a blanket and the clothes on his back. He traveled very light, and by the end of his trek, he almost completely ran out of water. He never found what he was looking for, but he did claim to have seen Area 51. Freeman had climbed a ridge above the canyon looking down on Papose Lake, which is just south of Area 51. He claimed that during the day he didn't really see much, but that night had seen lights, one of which looked like it was coming from a security vehicle perhaps, and one which was stationary but seemed to grow and shrink in size, which could have been a hangar door opening and closing in the distance. At number 7 we have Paul Benewitz. Paul Benewitz was a businessman and UFO enthusiast who became entangled in this conspiracy surrounding Area 51, mostly during the 1980s. Benewitz claimed to have discovered evidence of extraterrestrial activity near the Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, which he believed was connected to Area 51. He reported witnessing unidentified flying objects and strange phenomena like unusual lights and electronic disturbances. Benewitz became convinced that a secret government program was conducting alien research, leading him to share his findings with various other government agencies, including the Air Force and the Defense Intelligence Agency. His claims caught the attention of a UFO investigator named Bill Moore, who admitted later on that he had got caught up in a disinformation campaign against Benewitz on behalf of the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and at a 1989 Mutual UFO Network conference, fed him false information about extraterrestrial activities and crashed UFOs, and as a result, Benewitz's mental health deteriorated, and he became increasingly consumed by paranoia, at one point just locking himself in his room. He eventually ended up in a mental hospital where he was under surveillance for a month. He ended up passing away in 2003. Next up, we have the disappearance of Patrick Carnes. On April 13th, 2011, 86-year-old Patrick Carnes was road tripping back to his home in Reno, Nevada, after visiting family in Ohio. At 9 p.m. that night, Patrick was pulled over by a police officer for a minor traffic infraction, went along his way, stopped for gas in Wells, Nevada, and that's his last known location. The next morning, his car was discovered abandoned at an exit off of Interstate 80. Nobody knows what happened to him. An extensive search was launched. Nothing turned up. No leads. Nothing. Carnes' son, as well as authorities, believe foul play was involved. People don't often disappear out of nowhere without something bad having happened, and this incident occurred within a month, where 3 other people had gone missing within the same general area. Next up, we have Nan Dixon. Patrick Carnes isn't the only person to have gone missing along Interstate 80. This Nevada highway has had a number of mysterious disappearances dating all the way back to 1978. There have been hundreds of unexplained deaths and disappearances, but 73-year-old Nan Dixon went missing in 1978. On September 21st, Dixon was driving from California to Seven Troughs, Nevada to see her brother, but she never showed up. She was reported missing and a search was launched, but there was no sign of her or her vehicle. In 1982, her vehicle was discovered in a ravine under the main road of the Seven Troughs turnoff off that highway. The strange part is that this area had previously been searched. Unfortunately, though, there was no other leads as to where she could have been. And so continuing the strange disappearances along the I-80, though, we have Judith Cassida, who went missing in 2006. Cassida, who was 62 at the time, left her home in Reno on February 14th of that year. The last known sighting of her was at a McDonald's in Lovelock, Nevada. After that, she was never seen or heard from again. Only her vehicle was discovered 3 weeks later on the Pumpernickel Valley exit of Interstate 80. The disappearance of Stephen Coocher. In December of 2009, Stephen Coocher, a 30-year-old man from St. George, Utah, embarked on a journey that would ultimately lead to his disappearance. Coocher seemingly vanished without a trace. On December 13th, he was last seen in Henderson, Nevada, where he was spotted on surveillance footage near the Sun City Anthem community. He'd parked his car in a cul-de-sac and made his way in the opposite direction back down the road. He had like a portfolio with him. He was dressed in a white t-shirt. That's really all anyone could see on the footage. Following this sighting, all traces of him disappeared. Only his car was found. Law enforcement agencies launched extensive searches, conducting interviews, scouring the desert landscape, and pursuing leads in hopes of uncovering clues. But despite their efforts, no concrete evidence emerged. His disappearance perplexed both his loved ones and the investigators assigned to the case, and the lack of information surrounding this vanishing has given rise to, of course, numerous theories and speculation. Some think that maybe he experienced a mental health crisis or decided to intentionally go off and start a new life somewhere, while others think it could have been foul play. And at number 2, we have Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is a rather controversial figure known for his claims about Area 51. In the late 1980s, Lazar came forward with sensational assertions that he had worked in this reverse engineering program with extraterrestrial technology at a site within Area 51 called S4. According to Lazar, he had been recruited to work on advanced propulsion systems of 9 alien spacecrafts held by the US government within aircraft hangars built into a mountainside. Sounds rather familiar to something Jerry Freeman may have witnessed on his trek in the area. Lazar described the technology as being far beyond anything known to human science. Lazar's claims attracted quite a bit of attention, of course. Some thought his claims were incredible, some thought they were incredibly stupid. He presented himself as this whistleblower exposing this classified information. The US government has consistently denied Lazar's assertions and dismissed his credibility. They've maintained that Area 51 is just a classified military facility primarily used for the development and testing of experimental aircrafts, but nonetheless, Lazar's claims have gained a following amongst UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists who see his stories as evidence of some sort of government cover-up going on. But coming in at our number 1 spot, we have the Area 51 call. This was a call made to a radio show called Coast to Coast AM, hosted by Art Bell, which was a paranormal themed show. You'd have all kinds of people call in, from people with stories about their own paranormal encounters to complete skeptics. The phone calls were never screened, and the show was pretty big, being picked up on hundreds of radio stations across the United States and Canada. On one broadcast in 1997, though, Bell received a frantic phone call from a man claiming to have been a former employee in Area 51. And right from the get-go, you can tell this guy is very distressed. His voice is shaky, he sounds incredibly nervous. Now, it could totally be acting, but if he was doing a damn good performance. The stress in his voice sounds genuine. The man begins disclosing information about what he describes as extra-dimensional beings that had begun infiltrating the military and the government. He was trying to get as much information out as possible, claiming, quote, "They'll triangulate on this position really, really soon." The conversation didn't last long before the transmission was completely cut. Till this day, the identity of that man has never been revealed.
At number 10, David Grush confirms Bob's story in the Supreme Court. David Grush is a United States Air Force officer and former top intelligence official who testified to American Congress under oath during a national hearing that the US government is involved in a massive UFO cover-up, maintaining a secret program that includes the possession of non-human spacecraft and the remains of extraterrestrial pilots. What? Let's go. He also suggests that people have been literally terminated to protect these secrets. Guys, I was right all along. Grush's claims go even further, touching on the idea that UFOs might originate from other dimensions, describing encounters with colossal crafts and secret transfers to defense contractors. During this congressional hearing, he revealed information about a long-running UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, oddly reminiscent and in line with much of what Bob has previously claimed. While skepticism persists, there's no doubt that Congress has begun taking UFOs seriously, as it's implied that the overseers of this operation seem to even outrank Congress themselves in terms of obtaining clearance. So who the hell is pulling the strings? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. At number 9 are the assassination attempts. Bob Lazar's survival amidst his explosive Area 51 claims have perplexed many. In the 80s, one might have expected a swift and ominous government response to silence him. However, Lazar employed a strategic move by going public with his revelations, despite many reports of Lazar not wanting to do so. See, eliminating him then would have fueled the conspiracy fire, lending credibility to his narrative. Lazar never wanted any of the fame. He only went public as a means of protecting himself. That's why he's been mostly quiet since, seeking refuge in anonymity and relocating far from the epicenter of his initial disclosures. Now, taking him out would have made too much noise, but the actions that the government did take to discredit Lazar actually gave us enough validation that we need. Because what does the government do when they're mad at someone with assets like Bob's chemical company? Well, they audit it with the IRS, or they use the FBI or DEA or ATF to either infiltrate said business and or put pressure on said business in many ways, like how the FBI just raided Lazar's home and place of work, and then proceeding to isolate him from his support network. I mean, that should be validating enough. I mean, ruining people's days with bureaucracy is basically the government's calling card. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. Alright, let's finally talk about aliens with number 8, Lazar's alien sighting. With David Grush confirming the fact that the government is in possession of not just craft, but actual life forms, this tidbit inadvertently confirms Lazar's alien sighting while at S4. See, the story goes that on one and only one occasion, during his employment at the secret facility, as Bob was being taken through a hallway, he glimpsed through a window that had been previously obscured and saw what appeared to be scientists with clipboards standing over a miniature chair, and in it was a small and thin gray body with elongated arms disproportionate to its small body and head. Now, Bob only got a glimpse of this for a second, and he has since managed to convince himself that what he saw in the chair was a dummy, like perhaps they were trying to deduce the size of the alien from the dimensions of the chair. But ladies and gents, why would they need to do that if they already have the bodies? You know, with all this Pentagon stuff coming out, it's only a matter of time before Corbell yanks Bobby out of the closet for another documentary. Or at least I hope so. At number 7, Bob coined Area 51. Bob worked at the secret facility near Groom Lake, where he alleged that alien technology was being reverse engineered by the government, or in other words, being taken apart to figure out how it operated in a bid to one day duplicate the technology. And that secret facility was none other than the enigmatic Area 51. I mean, almost. See, while the base notoriously known as Area 51 was definitely popularized by Bob, if we're actually going to be accurate here, he never technically worked at Area 51 proper. He actually worked at Area S4, which is about 15 miles south of Area 51, but still technically within the Area 51 compound. I mean, if you're confused, imagine S4 as sort of a subset of Area 51. Like, this may or may not be true. If you're confused, imagine S4 as sort of like a subset of Area 51. Like, if Area 51 holds all of America's sci-fi weapons and tech, S4 is the flying saucer department. Anyhow, Area 51 is adjacent to Groom Lake, with a mountain dividing it from S4 at Papose Lake. And it's this very mountain range which conceals the hidden hangar, where all the UFOs are at. Lazar alleged that S4 is disguised with dirt and gravel coloring, but is a hangar built into the side of this mountain as to camouflage the base from onlookers and satellites. Pretty ideal spot for hiding flying saucers. At number 6, Jerry Freeman's S4 expedition. Jerry Freeman's expedition into the Nevada desert, driven by his pursuit of the Lost 49ers historical inscriptions, inadvertently sheds light on Bob's claims about S4. Despite the fact that Freeman wasn't looking for aliens or secret bases, Freeman's trek through the unauthorized desert just so happened to bring him tantalizingly close to the supposed location of S4, according to Lazar, and Freeman's encounters with mysterious lights in the night sky align eerily with Lazar's descriptions. Freeman's journey through no man's land, fraught with danger from military patrols, snakes, and the peculiar sightings snakes and the harsh desert, led him to document the peculiar sightings on the night of April 26, 1997. These lights, situated near Papose Lake, align eerily with Bob's description of S4's location. Freeman observed lights in the mountain range near Papose Lake that remained stationary and appeared to get larger and smaller, as a hangar door would if it were opened and closed. Though skeptics attribute the light to mundane sources, the remote and completely isolated location and lack of apparent infrastructure make this theory highly improbable. Instead, they eerily coincide with Lazar's count of S4. At number 5 is the Majestic clearance. Before Lazar was brought to S4, he was forced to do mounds of paperwork, from security clearances to revealing all kinds of personal information. Basically, the government gave him all the forms necessary to work on his top secret tech. Anyhow, Lazar revealed during an interview way back when that while he was completing this paperwork, the government had been updating his security clearance to a new level that they described as Majestic. Now, if you're a UFOologist at heart, that word probably sounded a couple alarms in the old conspiracy lobe. See, Majestic 12, or MJ12, is a perplexing UFO conspiracy theory which alleges the existence of a secret committee formed in 47 by President Truman to investigate alien spacecraft. However, it all hinges on disputed documents from 84, with the FBI dismissing it as completely bogus, because of course they would. Archives.gov found within their clearance only one file alluding to MJ12, called Memorandum for General Twinning, from Robert Culler, Special Assistant to the President, subject NCS/MJ-12 Special Studies Project, dated July 4, 1954. Refers to a briefing that did take place on July 16th. The memorandum does not identify MJ-12 or the purpose of the briefing. At number 4 is Bob's jet engine car. See, the skeptics always come marching in armed with claims that Lazar's educational and job history don't check out, because the government wiped all this history, of course. And in an effort to discredit his job, they've painted him as a high school dropout who never set foot in a lab. Oh, is that so? Exhibit A, June 1982, the Los Alamos Monitor boasts a picture. This Los Alamos Monitor newspaper boasts a picture of Bob Lazar next to a rocket-powered car he built. It's documented in history, folks, available in libraries. That's right, you guys. This man stuck a jet engine in his Honda. Drove that thing to work. The man was infamous in his town, so hold on a minute. We're looking at these puzzle pieces, and they just don't fit together. It's like trying to make 2 + 2 = something other than 4. See, the dude is clearly a genius who thinks outside the box. I mean, if I was MJ-12, I'd be looking for people like Bob. Bob's revelations about how, even within cherished top-secret programs, the divisions regarding this are heavily segmented such that no one person gets the whole picture. The UFO phenomenon, which is often sidelined as an oddity, epitomes this separation of knowledge. Lazar's revelations change the belief in authoritative institutions' reliability, given their concealment of truths. This should question our trust in these institutions, but UFOs remain sidelined. Imagine if UFOs entered mainstream discourse, reshaping our understanding and solving problems. Breaking down these barriers reveals endless possibilities, inspiring us to question what else they're hiding and what realities lie beyond our current beliefs. At number 2 is alien tech. Bob Lazar made some astonishing claims about extraterrestrial technology, and one of the most jaw-dropping was the propulsion system of these alien saucers. Lazar described how the craft wouldn't fly like a traditional saucer because the gravity amplifiers were under the craft, but this idea was scoffed at. Fast forward to today, and we're shown Pentagon released footage showing UFOs performing precisely as he described, rotating at high speeds with gravity-defying maneuvers belly first. Then there's the element 115, or Moscovium. Lazar asserted that it was the key to alien propulsion, and skeptics laughed since no such element even existed. But today, we've synthesized it, only in unstable forms lasting milliseconds, of course, yet Lazar sticks to his claim of a stable isotope powering these craft. And finally, the material of these UFO defines optimized conventional engineering. Described back in the 80s as liquid titanium, but more comparable to a 3D printed like single unit in the modern day, the uniform, rivetless, and seamless structure of the spacecraft is like a smooth cast iron model of a TTC bus compared to an actual rickety TTC bus. I swear, it feels like those things are gonna fall apart at the seams any minute. If you want to know more about the alleged alien tech and how it works, you can check out part 1 of the series. But before you do, let's reveal our top spot today with number 1, Colm Kelleher, a program manager deeply enriched within the government's largest covert endeavor, who recently disclosed on Jeremy Corbell's live stream an astonishing revelation. Kelleher boldly confirmed that the United States has successfully intercepted and acquired UFOs of enigmatic origin. This revelation sends ripples through the long-standing mystery surrounding Area 51 and Bob Lazar's contentious claims, because for decades, skeptics dismissed Lazar's assertions of reverse engineering an alien spacecraft at Area 51 as mere conspiracy fodder. However, Kelleher's confirmation adds a substantial layer of credibility to Lazar's controversial narrative. It forces us to confront the possibility that there exists a clandestine world of groundbreaking technologies and extraterrestrial encounters which remain hidden from public view. This admission opens a Pandora's box of questions about how much our government truly knows about advanced extraterrestrial technology and the implications for our understanding of it in the universe.